Hi, my name is Tanya. I am an employee with the City of Montclair. Thank you for inviting me to present information on Measure L. We appreciate your time and, more importantly, your civic engagement. The City of Montclair offers numerous programs and services to our residents and businesses, including public safety services, several parks and recreation programs, a citywide repair and maintenance program for streets and sidewalks, youth and senior activities and services, low-cost healthcare services, and programs designed to retain local businesses and jobs. Like many California cities, key sources of revenue such as sales and property taxes are not keeping pace with the rising costs of maintaining and providing government services. Nearly 75% of respondents to a recent survey indicated their belief that Montclair needs additional funding to provide and maintain services. While Montclair's City Council has taken a number of steps to protect essential services while reducing costs, challenges still remain. The city's fiscal challenges started over a decade ago with the Great Recession. Shifting consumer habits have decreased our revenue. The COVID-19 health crisis has further impacted the city's ability to maintain the services that residents and businesses use. Expanding regulations and changing expectations have also increased the city's expenses. Current fiscal year 2020 through 2021 budget projections forecasted that without reductions in services and the number of employees, Montclair would experience an approximate $3.5 million deficit due primarily to the economic effects of COVID-19 and the shutdown of the economy. The city took action to address these financial challenges, including reducing departmental expenditures, postponing spending on new infrastructure and capital projects, and instituting a hiring freeze. The City Council believes that cuts to services and reduced spending alone won't solve the budget shortfall. Many options were examined, and given the city's limited options to raise revenue, a sales tax increase was determined to be the best option to address its funding shortfall and protect essential services. After careful consideration, the City Council decided the best course of action to avoid cuts to services was to present Measure L to Montclair's voters. Measure L, officially known as the Montclair Essential Services Protection Measure, will be before Montclair's voters on the November 3rd General Municipal Election 2020 ballot to take the city's sales tax from the current rate of 8.0% to 9.0%. If approved by a majority of Montclair's voters, Measure L would provide the funding necessary to address the city's ongoing funding shortfall and maintain essential services. A 1-cent tax to increase the sales tax from 8.0% to 9.0% would generate an estimated $7 million per year for the city's general fund to ensure that our residents continue to have access to essential services. All revenue raised by Measure L will stay in Montclair to maintain essential services and cannot be taken by the state, county, regional agencies, or special districts. You may be asking yourself, what types of services will this support if it's going to the general fund? Well, here's an idea of what it will support in Montclair. Maintaining emergency response and public safety services to keep our community safe, protected, and secure, and funding for additional paramedic services. Preserving youth and senior services such as after-school programs and meals and transit services for seniors and other residents in need. Preparing for and covering from public health emergencies. Maintaining and improving the city's sewer system to help prevent contamination of local water sources, providing assistance and services for the homeless, maintaining streets, roads, and repairing potholes so they don't become more costly to fix in the future, and keeping parks and facilities in good condition and building new facilities to meet the growing needs of our residents. A 1-cent sales tax increase will cost $1 for every $100 spent on taxable goods, or just a penny on a dollar spent. The sales tax is collected from all consumers, including visitors, who make taxable purchases in Montclair. Based on market studies, approximately 75% of the sales tax that would be generated by Measure L will be paid for by non-Montclair residents who shop at our local businesses and dine at our restaurants. By law, Measure L will not apply to unprepared groceries, rent, mortgages, utilities, prescription medicine, or personal services such as medical, legal, and dental services. You will pay $0 more for these items. Local control is important because while Montclair residents currently pay an 8.0% sales tax, the city only controls 1.25% of that 8.0%. The remaining 6.75% is divided up between the state and county for various programs and services, including transportation and transit construction projects, licensing programs, and public health. For example, this year, Montclair is expected to spend up to $67 million in locally generated sales tax to Sacramento and $4.6 million to San Bernardino County. Of the total sales tax revenue generated in our city, only $11.1 million is returned to Montclair. The COVID-19 crisis and its economic fallout have affected nearly every city and community in California. Locally, the financial challenges facing Montclair are not unique to our community. Residents in many of our neighboring cities, including Laverne and Pomona, have already voted to approve similar tax measures. Several other San Bernardino County cities, including San Bernardino, Redlands, Victorville, Chino Hills, Ontario, and Upland, are either preparing tax measures for their November 3rd election or exploring submitting tax measures for consideration by their voters at a later date. As you can see from this map, Montclair is currently at a sales tax rate of 8.0%, with many of our neighboring cities higher at 8.75% or even as high as 10.25%. Measure L includes accountability requirements such as public disclosure of all spending and annual independent financial audits to ensure funds are used effectively and as stated, and only to benefit the Montclair community. All revenue raised by Measure L will be deposited in the city's general fund and can be used for essential services, community programs, and infrastructure projects as determined by the City Council. Thank you for inviting me to present information on Measure L.